not waste any more time. Math, money, freedom, and of course, a disclaimer. None of this is investment advice. I hope you guys are okay. Sound is good. Awesome. Live TV is always a pain in the butt. Let's jump into the first question from Mike. And basically, I convinced my business partner to invest £200,000 of our business loan. Would you do all BTC, ETH, Solana, or put some in Tesla, Google, and Shopify? So first of all, everybody, these are crazy FOMO times, and we never, ever want to invest all that we have because it is super risky to do that. So let me make sure that this... Yeah, there you go. Never, ever, ever borrow to speculate. It's always dangerous, and it's not something I would condone. Now, these are also FOMO times. Everybody wants to be part of this crypto revolution. They hear about their friends making 500% in 4 weeks, and everybody wants to get in. So it always happens, but be careful chasing stuff. So I'm going to share 2 key lessons with you all today. The first one is borrowing to speculate is very risky. Don't ever do it. Especially not with speculative stocks like Tesla, Google, Shopify, etc. Especially not at these levels. Tesla and Google and Shopify are all very expensive. Now, that being said, investing balance sheet assets to hedge inflation is something, in something like Bitcoin, is a good idea. And that's what many companies do, like MicroStrategy, and many companies are beginning to do right now. So I would talk to your business partner, invest $200,000, yes, but make sure that $200,000 doesn't exceed between 5 and 20% of the business's intrinsic value. What I mean by that is if Bitcoin goes to zero, you're not caught out and it doesn't impact the business. So the key message as well for everybody, I always say this, lesson number 1, never chase, and modified it with replace. So what I mean by this, everybody out there, if you see something running, take Avalanche, take Solana, they go up 4x, they go up 5x in a couple of weeks. Buying them after going up 4 or 5x is lethal. There is always an 80% chance, 90% chance they're going to go down after that type of run. So don't chase them, but replace them with something that hasn't run yet. So that's really the key issue here. So let's go a little bit further and talk about this. So do you still have conviction that we can get a Bitcoin ETF end of this year, start of next year, from Edel Armas? Great question. Yes, let me explain why. So, for example, the SEC signaled yes to a Bitcoin ETF, but no to an Ethereum ETF, reading between the tea leaves from Gary Gensler, the head of the SEC. Now, what's critical here is in this release from Friday, they have approved Bitcoin Futures Mutual Fund, which was Gary Gensler's precursor to a Bitcoin ETF. So yes, I still remain confident that sometime maybe by December 2021 or Q1 2022, we will have a Bitcoin ETF. So that's my thought. And again, I don't have a crystal ball, but I have a pretty good one sometimes. So that's what I say. Now, I noticed people setting up mining rigs with computers to mine ETH and Bitcoin. Do you think this is a good investment at this stage, or better just to invest? From My Chemical Finance. So this made me dig, and this took a little bit of time. So what I did was I put together a Bitcoin mining return on investment. You guys can do the same thing for Ethereum, but I thought Bitcoin would be easier just to give everybody a taste. And there's much more data available. So for example, if you are mining Bitcoin on a laptop, you will earn 1/100,000th of a Bitcoin every 10 or 100 years. Not too sure. It depends on how fast the laptop is and what the hash rate is and all that type of stuff. So basically, doing it on a laptop makes no sense. Now, if you're mining via a rig, an ASICs rig, the typical cost, if you can get your hands on one, of a rig with one GPU is about $1,500. The return is 0.0002 Bitcoin. That is typically per day. Now, I put together a little bit of a model here to highlight the math of how it all works. And I want you guys to think of a couple of things. First of all, as I always say, mining is a cutthroat operation. Now, on the right-hand side in the small table, you see the rig cost is $1,500. The return is Bitcoin per day of 0.0002. Your value per day, i.e. from the Bitcoin that you mine, is about $10.94, based on today's current price of $50,000 approximately. So per month, your Bitcoin revenue is about $338. Your rig depreciation, very important, these rigs only last about 2 years, is about $62 a month. Your utilities will be about $32, $33 a month based on the US average. Some states have cheaper electricity like Texas than others, and the most expensive is Hawaii. If you are mining in Hawaii, your utilities will be about $70 a month. Very expensive. Now, manpower is, I assume, to manage these rigs, it takes about 10 hours a week. Some people say up to 6 hours a day. I think that's a bit extreme. But 10 hours a week, you got to pay yourself at least $20 an hour. That's $200, your opportunity cost of labor. So your paper gain is about $32 a month. And your 2-year return is about $791. But remember, your cost is $1,500. So your ROI is about minus 27%. And you will lose on this investment. Now, that is my math. If you don't pay yourself and your time is worth nothing, you can make it work. But you always have to take into account the opportunity cost. So that is your mining ROI. Again, it's a cutthroat business. I've looked at the numbers every which way till Sunday, and it's hard to make it work. Now, if you were doing this 11, 10 years ago, you could be mining 50 Bitcoin a day easily with a laptop. But it's a very different world today. So just leaving that with you there. So use the math, make your own conclusions. So this from Edward. If Sol is an ETH killer, over time, will Sol reach the heights of ETH, like $25,000 to $50,000 per Sol? And that would mean matching prices. Yeah, people sometimes get confused in this regard. And I have a model for that, which will make people mad. So here, what I've done is highlighted how I've got 4 theoretical pricing models, but this one I'm just touching on for Ethereum versus Sol, just for this illustration purpose. So if you look at the ETH market cap today, it's about $368 billion, 369. And your Sol circulating supply is 272 million. And if you take Sol as 2% of ETH's market cap, your Sol price is worth about $27. If you take Sol as 4% of ETH, $54. And Sol as 6% of ETH, about $81. Now, I believe it is very theoretically possible for Solana to have 10% to 20% of ETH's market capitalization. But based on today, that would mean the price would be between $135 to $271 per Sol, not $3,000 or $3,500, which would equate to ETH. So you always need to look at a couple of things. Always when you do this, everybody, you need to look at the relative market caps. You need to look at the total addressable market. You need to look at the crypto in circulation. You need to look at the inflation, etc., etc. And I do not see Sol taking over ETH for the next 5 years, but I do see it eating into Ethereum market share. So hope that helps. And either way, it's funny because I have detailed price prediction models, and Solana has already blown through my bear case for Solana by year end. So we'll see. And I've noticed that a lot of my pricing models, the actual true prices are beginning to catch up. And we'll talk more about that in a minute. So great question, Edward. Thank you. Now, next question. For future price of Bitcoin, usually 10 years out, you'll say, I see one Bitcoin at $1 million, then it'll only give you $540,000 worth of purchasing power in US dollars in the year 2030. This is correct. Since we're fighting the constant devaluation of the dollar, why not start to value Bitcoin by some other metric? Yes, and I think about this all the time, and that question is from Docs67. Love it. So still, I try to calculate, versus palladium, versus copper, versus silver, versus acreage, but there's so many variations in prices of everything. Houses, cups of coffee, Big Macs, I looked at it all. But because everything is deflating and inflating, it's really hard to do. So still, after all my analysis, I still think gold is still the best benchmark by which to measure Bitcoin. You guys have seen this before if you've watched any of my videos. And I have to show this on the log scale because Bitcoin is the black hole that's eating everything. But gold is probably the best numerator in my opinion. But bear in mind, over the last 10 years, gold has gone from 800 Bitcoins per ounce, which is 31 grams of gold, now today to 0.036 Bitcoin per ounce. So it is absolutely not performing very well. And as you can see here on the chart, Peter Schiff isn't looking very happy, and he regrets this week alone, that he never put $100,000 into Bitcoin 10 years ago. So we'll see. Now, related to that, from Evan A week ago, a cup of coffee was about 5,000 sats. Yes, it was. Per my video, well listened. In order to get Bitcoin to become the basis of money, people would need to view things as a cost in Bitcoin instead of US dollars. It means Bitcoin needs to have denominations. Are there any names for them yet? Good thing you answered. Yes, there are, and the names are a little bit complicated, but basically this is what they are called today. So you got all these weird names. You got Satoshis, of obviously 1/100 millionth of a Bitcoin. You got your microbits, which is basically 1 millionth. Then you got your millibits, centibits, decibits, and then Bitcoin itself. Then you got your decabits, 10 Bitcoin. How many decabit holders do we have out there? Hopefully a few. Hectobits, kilobits, and megabits. So megabit would be Satoshi. He has over 1 million Bitcoin. But the key one here to take away that I would remember for you guys for now would be bits. And one coffee is about 100 bits, or approximately $5, depending on where you buy your coffee. If you go buy some fancy latte at Starbucks, it'll cost you 100 bits. But I believe that price will change very quickly as, of course, the dollar depreciates and Bitcoin inflates. So thank you for that question. Now, next question. I know Bitcoin is strong and your largest holding. However, does it concern you that 25 wallets hold 40% of total Bitcoin supply? That's from Stebbs. So first of all, Stebbs, a lot of people coming out of the woodwork saying I said stuff. So I don't know why this is all of a sudden happening, but I want to make the record straight. First of all, I never said Bitcoin is strong. I said it's the best asymmetric bet of my lifetime. Also, Bitcoin is not my largest holding, but it's my largest crypto holding. So I just want to make sure that's all clear for the record. And second of all, the data is wrong there. The top 100 addresses in Bitcoin own about 2.8 million Bitcoins, which is about 14.7% of the total supply, not 40%. So check your numbers. And again, Bitcoin is the most widely distributed of all cryptos that are out there, so most equitable. And that's one of the reasons I love it. Abhishek J, I have about 15,000 ADA and I bought at $1.30. How much should I sell at the current price and which coin should I enter? So there's a lot of things. I don't want to give you advice about what coin to buy because there's so many good options out there. But also, as I mentioned at the beginning, so many have run so far, like 4x, 5x in a very short window of time. But what I have prepared for you is this. And where did it go? Let me see. Here it is. Somehow it got missed. So this is your actual true example. So we have your cost base, which is $1.30 in the top left corner. And the gains, if you sold today, you'd have 0%. Your total token balance is 15,000 Cardano. And the value of your holdings at that price is about 19,500. Now, because Cardano is about 250, call it, your holdings are worth about 31,000. So what I would do is I'd look very carefully, and this all depends on many different factors. Your cost base, your future price projection, your risk tolerance, your financial needs, etc. But I made some assumptions, and a simple way to kind of play the exit here and just to wrap your head around this, and of course you can build your own scenarios, targets, and risk appetite, but this is what I would do. I'd take some money off the table at 252 or 279, whatever you want, and you can see here this. You'll see the profit per sale and the amount of tokens that you would actually be offloading as well. Now, the key thing here to remember is your opportunity cost of selling early. So that's very, very important. So at the first stage, you'll sell a very small fraction of your Cardano, about 2,500. Second stage, 2,500, and on and on. You can, of course, play with these numbers all the way up to $4. Now, some people think we could go to $10. And if you put in $10, you can change how you exit over time. But the real thing I want people to wrap their heads around, I got a couple more examples of this, is the profit if you held and we go all the way to $4 versus the opportunity cost of selling early is also there as well. So just a couple of things to consider. And we have some other ones as well that I want people to look at too. So this came in, another one as well from Satya. And this is, I have 12,000 ADA. So a lot of people have 15,000, 12,000. And I bought at 16 cents last November. Should I wait till November or go long or sell or convert it to SOL once it crosses 3? So again, I put together two different scenarios, again, for everybody to look at if they hold Cardano. And we'll be doing this for all cryptos. So if you assume it's going to $4, again, like we covered before, you could have different ways. Again, your price point is very different, but you could start selling maybe at 266 based on your risk profile. And I assumed you weren't risk averse because you got in early at a very low price. Second tranche, you'd sell at 323, third tranche 362, and the fourth tranche at 4,000. Now, if we look at another example here, if we assume Cardano is going to $10, which many people believe it is, I think it's going to about $354. And if it goes to 10, so be it. That's great. But here you can see how things work out if you exit a little bit earlier, taking some money off the table. And because you're in such a high profit position, this is something that definitely we recommend to do. So if you look here, you would have already sold at $2.13, more at 360, more at 459, 557, 656, $8, and so forth. And then you can see exactly how much profit you make. If you hold all the way through, you obviously can make $120,000 if Cardano goes to $10. So that's really the key here. Now, in terms of taxes, I like the way you're thinking in terms of holding till November to make sure you don't get short-term capital gains. I don't know what tax jurisdiction you're in, so I can't answer that question. But if you're a high earner in California and you're paying a lot of state and federal tax, that can really hurt you. So you could be losing 50%. So it's worth waiting till November to exit, especially considering it's only 2 months away. So thank you for your questions. And again, we'll do more about exits and how to exit over time. So from Sebastian C, why do you not like Cake? Too centralized or other downsides? Interesting question. So Cake is, of course, PancakeSwap, and there's a couple of things I don't like about it. Number one, the projected supply is 8 billion tokens. Currently, the circulating supply is 212 million. So the inflation is about 92.17%, which is ridiculous. Now, I could go on and on, talk about insider distribution and everything else, but when you have a token with such crazy inflation, it immediately gets nixed out of the gate. Uniswap is the safer bet in my opinion, and I own Uniswap. Not pumping my own bags, I just think its tokenomics and its insider distribution is far better. So that was a quick one, which is good. Let's go to InvestIQ. Recently you mentioned a concept, shorting the banks. Can you provide context on this and potential details on execution and timing? This is an interesting one. So yeah, I do believe a couple of things. So my outlook is, I have no timing, but I do have a few targets in mind, which I'm not going to share with you here. But there's a couple of things that I do believe are going to happen. One is the whole concept of creative destruction, which is when innovation happens, like crypto, like electric vehicles, etc., and it replaces outdated ways of doing business or manufacturing technology, etc. And this, I think, was coined by Joseph Schumpeter in the 1940s. And this is the essential fact of capitalism. I call it evolve or die. But I believe DeFi will disrupt financial services, and many financial service firms, which includes banks, asset management companies, insurance companies, etc., will be in financial jeopardy when the whole DeFi revolution starts to take place. I also know that a couple of financial institutions are teetering right now in some problems. Look at Wells Fargo giving up home equity line of credits. That's a red flag that they have some risk problems. And if I also look at creative destruction impacting other industries such as ICE car makers, think of Ford, GM, Chrysler, Volkswagen, and those guys. They're trying to pivot to EVs, but it's very difficult for them to get away from their legacy car manufacturing capabilities. Taxis, insurance agents, financial advisors, car repair shops, small part manufacturing. I mean, there's just so much coming. I could write a list of 1,000 industries that are going to be impacted. So it'll go way beyond banks, but there'll come a time where it'll be easy to identify targets. Just as I identify opportunities to go up, I can just as easily identify opportunities to come down. So when I get there, I'll start sharing those with you. But that requires reverse financial analysis to try to find ones that are teetering. So great question, and thank you for that. So I love this one from Deep Sea. I encourage my daughter to get into crypto. She would now like to buy some altcoins. Which should I recommend she start with? So this is, I love hearing these stories when kids or young people are getting into crypto. Most young people are actually. But what I would do is the most important skill when you're young is really learning to analyze what you do first, or else you're going to lose all your money at a young age and you may never return to the market. So to start with, I'd say have her look at the top 20 coins because they have the least amount of risk. Weed out the high risk tokens, take out your Doge, take out your usual ones like your Bitcoin Cash, etc. And then benchmark against the 8-month low and 8-month high. So just look at the year-to-date numbers, have a look at a chart, find the tops and bottoms, and then compare to my price predictions or price predictions that are out there and help her identify, which one has the most upside versus downside versus where they are today. That would be a very good exercise that will make her millions over her life. So proud dad. Good job. Next question from Jack R. You spoke unfavorably about Avalanche recently. When you did your analysis a while back, it was favorable. I bought and now up 50%, which is great, but not as great as Solana or others. What is your thinking? Being you have it in your retirement portfolio, should we hodl or sell? So again, another example of somebody saying, I said something. First of all, everybody, I always say, wear your tap dancing shoes. Critical. Everything changes all the time in this space. What I say yesterday could change tomorrow. Please remember that. If you can't, do not look at my channel. Second thing, Avalanche. I did a detailed report a few months ago. I loved it. I bought it. And I said it was at a very favorable price, around $10 and at different price points, etc. I stuck it in the retirement portfolio at $10. It's nearly 5x'd. It's done really well. I still hold. Okay. Now what's changed since I did my review and today is the Avalanche burning. What's also changed is them building out a network and cross-chain capabilities and everything else, which I've covered extensively this week, justifying why it's so high and why I'm still holding. So again, please. Now, when I first looked at it, the only red flag I had was this. You'll see here. This is from my actual review. The tokenomics emission rate, the very second last point, is a small red flag, inflation. But it's not a deal killer. So sometimes tokenomics doesn't have to be perfect. Everything else was great. And I said the price was extremely attractive at its current level. I saw lots of upside. Now, what's also interesting about this one is my price prediction model, bear case, was $52.06. And we're very close to that already for 2021. So a lot of my price prediction models are about to be hit. For example, Solana, Avalanche, because they've gone up so much. I never thought they'd go up 400, 500% in a few weeks. And they have, or a few months, so which is crazy. So please, remember everybody, everything changes. Don't say, I said this or I said that. Yes, maybe I did, but things change with the protocols. Nothing is stagnant. This crypto market is going at 1,000 miles an hour. And that's why you can make huge exponential gains. So, sorry for coming down hard and everybody there, but literally, everything changes. Keep your dancing shoes on. Okay, I heard Palantir works with the government to predict major future events, and they just purchased 50k in gold. True? This is from Suki. Yes, a lot of people have been kind of concerned. So first of all, my take on Palantir is they have more indicators of a black swan event than any other company on earth, in my opinion. And I don't want to be an alarmist or scare anybody, but if anybody knows something could go wrong, or there's a 5% or 1% chance of something going wrong, these guys know. That's why they basically, their biggest customer is the US government after 9/11 to keep tabs on terrorism, both domestic and international. And that's what they do. If I walk into a store in Ohio and I buy a bag of fertilizer weighing more than 10 pounds or 10 kilos or something, Palantir, and I run my credit card, Palantir know I bought that fertilizer, okay? Because that's sometimes used to do nefarious type activities, which I won't mention here on this channel. But that's the point of how much these guys know. They track everything. They have their finger on the pulse of everything. So yeah, maybe they're doing it for a reason. Maybe it's a 0.5% or 0.1% of a chance that something bad could happen, but it's worth it just to always be ready for that. And that's important. So next question. So Nancy Pelosi, we love our politicians here. This is from Jimbo. Bought a bunch of NVDA shares and options and bought into a fund that invests in hotels. It looks like she is short on cash, so she bought options to speculate instead. She's extremely bullish on NVTA, right? It's a good idea to invest in private equity to gain exposure to real estate. So a couple of things there. I'm not sure exactly how to interpret that question, but yeah, she bought options not because she's short in cash, she's worth tens or hundreds of millions of dollars, because I remember my father said to me as a kid, I said, why do politicians work for $100,000 or $50,000 a year or something crazy like that? And he said, you will never see a poor politician. This is why they have information. And information is money. So yeah, she bought in back on, I think, the 27th or the 23rd of July. She bought options? She always buys options. Her husband is in on the game too, and they do lots of really cool things. They get good information. They got a lot of politicians that got some good information before C19 hit. And it was another interesting thing is the husband bought a truckload of Slack stock right before, I think, Salesforce.com announced the acquisition of Slack. So either they are really good predictors or I don't know what. Anyway, politicians, they always have money, and maybe for this reason. So Pelosi trade, she's up 8.2% since it began over the last 28 days. So we'll see what happens. Now, in terms of your other question regarding her buying into hotel stocks are beaten to death. Obviously, they bumped up a little bit considering there'd be a recovery with the vaccine. That's all on pause again. My personal take, don't want to alarm anybody again, but I think C19 is with us for the next 3 to 5 years, and we have a new normal. It's going to become an endemic, not a pandemic, the way it's mutating. And that's it. So buckle in. I think the real money will be made in vacations that are not in hotels with crowded elevators and restaurants and pools, but more private residences, RVs, that type of stuff. Just my take. It could be the ramblings of a madman, I heard Mr. Tom Nash saying once in a video. It was cool. So is NVTA a buy now? This is funny. People get NVIDIA and NVTA confused. NVTA ticker versus NVDA. This one is regarding NVTA. Do you think... I think you mentioned under 26 is not a bad price. From Wheelbarrel, yes, I do like NVTA. I'm a great believer in personalized medicine. I believe they can detect serious illnesses before they become really, really serious, like cancer. Extremely bullish on the stock. I support them because I'm a big believer prevention is better than cure, or early detection is better than cure as well. So that's my take. The 1 year target is above $40 for me. So buying at 26 is definitely a good price. Not financial advice, of course. And I do think 2022 will be a great year for NVTA and personalized medicine. That's my little take on that. So after the T-Mobile hack, this is from Manganuk, I want to get a Yubikey. However, I bought a Nano Ledger and my details were put on the dark web after it was hacked. First of all, very sorry about that. But your question is, where can you buy a safe Yubikey? And I do recommend it's a great way to lock down your crypto. So 2 ways. You can go directly to the Yubikey site. And second, you could buy it direct from an Amazon seller. Sometimes there are people that have referral codes and stuff like that, but I don't want to get involved with any type of security stuff. But I bought mine, and I have a few from Amazon directly. But just make sure you buy it from Amazon directly and not an Amazon seller. Very important. So let me see. Tim Draper, synthetic longs can be worse because they introduce downside risk that simple call options don't have, right? Correct. So synthetic longs basically come with more risk than straight call buying. If you're just buying a call for $10, if nothing happens, stock doesn't rise, you lose your money. It's fine. Zero, you're on the hook for that naked put. However, they also offer unlimited profit potential. And that's why I like them. But remember, only ever do a synthetic long if you are an options expert and you've been doing it for like 5+ years. And number two, you have the ability to sustain the loss if it happens. But most importantly, number three, make sure it's at a rock bottom price, or else you could be a little bit underwater. But sometimes as well, when there's a high volatility period, the premium you can get for the puts is incredible. So even though you can sell them really at a high price, and even if the stock goes down, you're still not underwater. And that's what I do a lot too, but that more on that later. It's complex. So big thank you to everybody as well. All super chats get donated to help support animals in need. So Pai Lin is an elephant from Thailand and was mistreated for years, trekking industry, carrying tourists, up to 6 tourists. Her spine is now deformed, but she doesn't appear to be in any pain, so she's good. And she's happily retired, so it's a happy story. And Mrs. Flappy is a Maldivian manta ray, rescued by divers after getting entangled in nets, and she spends her time in Ba Atoll. Has an old shark bite on her fin, but she is doing awesome too. So big thank you, everybody. I'm going to open this up to Q&A. Happy Sunday. And don't forget, DCA live tonight, 5:30 Pacific, 7:30 Central, with George from Cryptos R Us and Rob from Digital Asset News. And I look forward to that as always. So let me try. Catch my breath, switch cameras, and take some questions. Let me see. All the questions you've had, and a big thank you as well. You guys are making a difference to the world and making the world a better place. And I'm very happy to be here with you guys on a Sunday. And I'm going to, before I jump into these, I'm going to take a little bit of coffee. Iced coffee as usual. So from Penn, J. Vento. Any comments on Nervos, CKB? Let me see. I've never heard of that one. Nervos. See if it's in our compendium. And because I've never heard of it, I doubt it is. And it has very little data available. Let me see. It might actually be there. Hold on one second. It's ranked number 128. Let me just pull this up. Let's see if we have anything plugged in. Nervous Network. We do. A little bit. Yes. The initial review is looking pretty good. Not that bad. So we are approximately middle of the road, which warrants further investigation. And Penn, great question. Yes, I forgot. We actually had a very cursory review. We're going to dig a little bit deeper and see what it's about. Official JCUB. Does the token printing from Tether concern you? Are they manipulating the crypto market price every time they do so, especially Bitcoin? Yeah, well, Tether's used across a whole host of different cryptos, and I from day one, there's something shady going on with Tether, and they pay fines in New York and stuff. I know that Gary Gensler will figure all that out, and we'll see. But hopefully it's not that bad. Markets will always be manipulated no matter what you're in. Bitcoin, gold, palladium, copper. That's just the nature of the beast. You just got to be on the right side of the trade. So it doesn't concern me at all. And, even if Tether blows up, the crypto market, Bitcoin may take a 15-20% hit, worst case, but it'll recover very fast. It's not the be all and end all. Air to the Ron, good to see you again. He reveals untraditional gains coming with partnerships like Audi's, TikTok, and ACH with Shopify. Let me see. He reveals untraditional gains coming with partnerships. Audius, TikTok, and ACH with Shopify. Yeah, so I looked at the Audius. I think basically the TikTok news has overvalued Audius from my perspective so far. I had a look at it yesterday. And the ACH news, it's Alchemy, I think, with Shopify, is brilliant. And I love what Shopify are doing. They've been very crypto-friendly from day one. And I've got a big Shopify position. I haven't actually analyzed yet the impact of ACH on Shopify. But typically when the cryptos make these big deals with traditional companies, it gives them much more of a boost than is warranted. So be careful there. But thank you for the question. Kimpatsu63, when do you expect approximately the Bitcoin bear market to start, and how long approximately do you think price will go to? So it's a function of so many different things. Is when the money stops flowing in, of course, first, not TA. Again, it'll be an elongated bull market, so we're going to go out maybe to Q1, Q2. A lot of people are talking about June 2022. But I just, as the adoption increases and as the money flows into Bitcoin, it could technically go on forever because we're so early. And in terms of where the price goes, it's always the same story. If we go to $100,000, we could retrace to 50. Goes to 200, we could retrace to 100. So that's the way I see it. Official JCB. Crypto Whale on Twitter says, we are in a dead cat bounce and BTC will go down to 7,000 in 2022. Is this a bunch of phony baloney? I don't know who Crypto Whale is. I don't follow many people. I like to make my own determinations and not be bombarded with a lot of naysayers. Historically, Bitcoin has never, ever, ever gone down below previous bull market's all-time high. So the maximum floor would be 20K. But I see absolutely solid support at 30K unless there's a black swan event. So yeah, complete garbage, I would say. And there's a lot of bear sentiment right now because a lot of people are very bitter because they don't have any. And you get the negative bearish sentiment gets higher and higher the higher things go. Just look at Tesla over the last 3 years. it drove people crazy because they didn't have any. And the same thing will happen with Bitcoin. So always understand the incentives behind how people are playing. Ara Hanazarian, hope I got that right. Received AKA as a gift, thinking of converting it all to Sol at current price. Also, what price would you exit Matic this cycle? Ooh, that's a loaded question. Let me see. I got to pull up a couple of resources here and make sure. So, retire. Bear with me. I'll get Matic first because that's what I'm looking up first. I see Polygon, if things work out okay, could definitely go to about 290 this cycle. Kind of is my target. And today it's trading at about 158. So a 2x from here. Converting Cardano, I think Cardano has some room to run. Again, all the way up to the actual launch and until we start hearing maybe some other news. So we're still in the buy the rumor situation right now. So I would hold on. My target is $3.50 to $4 now for Cardano. A lot of people are calling for 10. And I think other things could happen fast. Now, Solana is an interesting one because it has been a little bit weak today. And the market gave some people a nice buying opportunity. But, oh my God, this is incredible. Ever since I've been talking, Bitcoin has just pumped. And it always happens because I honestly feel it's the energy coming from you guys. Literally, we've gone from, when I started, it was 48,270. And now we're 48,730. So it's nearly $500 pump. Thank you, everybody. But back to Solana. Like that fell all the way down to 71 this morning. And it's going straight back to 80. That's what I can say. So you just need to be able to time everything. I recommend everybody get really familiar with spreadsheets. I've been modeling everything since Lotus 123 came about. I've been using Lotus 123 since 1989. And I attribute a lot of my capabilities and luck to modeling and spreadsheets and numbers. So look at your price predictions, look at your entry points and cost basis, look at the upside of other cryptos, and then make your decision. And also, per the models I showed today as well, Ara, check out selling a piece. And there was a key slide as well I had today, and I didn't show it. Let me see if I can actually pull it up, because I do want to share it with you all. And for some reason, it wasn't showing. But it is a key lesson. I had it as lesson number 2. And let me see. Yes, I do have it. And I want to show it with everybody because it's too important not to share. And this is kind of the secret, and I think I blew through it. Lesson number 2, the common adage is you don't go broke taking profits. And I've said this before, everybody says this. But the real thing, this is precisely how day traders go broke. They take profits sometimes too fast. Don't let the winners run. I always let the winners run. Very important. Now, while amateurs go broke by taking large losses, professionals go broke by taking small profits. This doesn't make sense. While amateurs go broke by... Sorry. Somebody edited this and edited it wrong. It should be... this is basically professionals make profits by taking small profits is kind of the C. That kind of completely screwed up. I'm not sure exactly what went wrong there, but that is key. But that is a very important lesson. You make profits by taking a little bit off the table, not going big bang. If you have a winner, let it run. So that was my lesson number 2. I'm not sure what happened there. So maybe it's my mistake. It's a confusing one. So, Jeeves, let me see. Sorry for that long-winded answer. Jeeves, people, market doesn't sway to James Tunes. Do your own research, please. Yeah, please. I give you the tools by which you guys can make decisions. I don't want to tell people to buy or sell because I don't give investment advice. Alpha Jester, looking to trade up some altcoins into Sol and ETH. How would you recommend balancing the two? I would go... ETH is the 800-pound gorilla, hard to replace. Sol could technically run faster. The thing I like about ETH is the fact that it is going to become deflationary in about 3 or 4 months. That is huge. And it also is the £800 incumbent, very difficult to displace. Sol has no chance of doing that over the next 5 years, but Sol has a lot of upside. So I would say, I don't know, 65% ETH, 35% Sol would be safe. Now, one Brightum. With Cardano approaching $3 quickly, do you plan on revising your price target? And if Bitcoin goes to 108k price target, wouldn't ADA be about 5 to 10? It could. This market moves so fast, and you never know what's going to happen. But I plan on exiting, just like I said. Professionals take small slices off. So I swing trade. I get into long options. I sell short options to pay for the long options, and then when they bounce, I sell out of the money options against it. That's what I do. So same type of thing for crypto. I'll just take money where I see it, take my money off the table, and it's hard to say what's happening. But Cardano, remember, it's running on the news of Solana Purple, which is smart contracts for the first time. But my thesis remains, Ethereum has had smart contracts for 5 years. Solana's had them for a long while too. It's just like a Me Too capability. Now, for all those Cardano holders out there, including myself, I hope Purple is completely mind-blowing. I hope it scales more than 50,000 transactions per second. I hope the smart contracts are easy to use, that a chimpanzee can configure smart contracts on the platform. That's my dream. But show me the money. I need to see it happening first. So, we'll see. Let me see. A normal guy's perspective. Will ADA get to 150 this year? What about VeChain? Yeah, deepest apologies. I picked up a news release on Friday, which was fake news, written by a well-respected rag, and I was fooled into thinking that. I took down the video. It was gone, deleted, but a lot of people are saying that. I heard some people on YouTube saying that this morning. No. Cardano can't get to $150. If Cardano goes to $150, it has a market cap of like 17 trillion, which is something like 30 Teslas, which is not going to happen. And VeChain, we'll see. Again, my price target of VeChain is about 35 cents. We'll see where it goes. I have a Cardano and a VeChain bag too as well. Richard North, how much of my retirement portfolio should I allocate to crypto if I'm in my late 30s? I have access to Bitcoin, ETH, ETFs in Canada, and tax-sheltered accounts. You are blessed in Canada. You got all these toys at your fingertips to do whatever you want. So, Richard, first of all, congratulations and hello there. Hope everything is going well up north. Because you're so young, in your late 30s, you don't have to worry about anything for 10 years plus. So you can take on a lot of risk. Not like somebody who is, say, 65 that may need the money in 3 to 5 years. So I would say, me personally, I am irresponsibly long in crypto, but that's because I'm a very firm believer. I think a third of your portfolio could be in crypto at your age, at least 33%, but make sure you choose quality. And I like the way you said Bitcoin and ETH, because they're very safe. So thank you for your question. And let's see if there's any more questions out there. There they are. Thank you, K8, for doing all that. So Satwik Deshpande, good to see you again. Since crypto is considered an asset or property, can we avoid capital gain tax by investing our profits in another property or real estate? No. If you exit, the only way to avoid taxes on crypto is to borrow against it. If you exit your crypto and convert it to a stable coin or anything else, fiat, you got to pay taxes. And there are some countries that don't have those rules, but in the US, that's definitely the rule. And not all countries consider crypto property, so it's all over the place. So I hope that helps. But you can borrow against your Bitcoin and use that money as a down payment to buy Bitcoin. And also, in talking to some banks recently, so 6 months ago, if you had, say, a bunch of Bitcoin, they wouldn't give it any value. Now they give it value for the first time ever, which is good. And it just shows you how mature this space is becoming. EROC007, according to you and Sailor, USD is devaluing 15% per year. I have an investment that guarantees me 8% compounding interest a year. Am I better off putting money into real estate instead? Yeah, so real estate is appreciating by 17%, I think, over the last year. So 8% no longer cuts it. And if you look at all the tea leaves, all the threats of tapering by the Fed and interest rate increases, the Fed is now beginning to panic about inflation. It is out of control. It's about to get a whole lot worse with the supply chain disruptions from C19 Part 2.0. You can easily calculate inflation yourself. Education, healthcare, blueberries, Big Macs, coffee, a drink at a bar, real estate. It's just everywhere. So it's definitely 15%. Joe Waterhouse, what do you think of Ray Radium token? Seems a potential gem, given the growth happening with Sol, and should be a good Uniswap, PancakeSwap competitor. So we had a look at, there's two big Sol players. I think Radium is one. Let me pull up Radium for a second. I think Radium actually passed muster, but the other DEX didn't when we looked at it. Yeah, Radium is looking good so far. The other one we looked at, I can't remember what it was called. Serum, not so good. But yeah, we are going to be looking more into that as well as we go forward. Joe, thank you for the question. But so far, halfway through the analysis, Radium's looking very, very good. Michael C. Oh, before I forget, Joe as well. Remember, with these types of plays, though, there is a big regulatory risk. So be careful of that. Michael C. Do you think Mana Decentraland could pump soon, along with other NFT plays like Engine? I don't like Mana because its tokenomics are really bad. Let me show you why. Let me pull that up. So Decentraland scored very poorly in our crypto compendium. Well, that's just the nature of how strict we are when we look at them. I don't follow Mana. I'll have a very quick look and see if I can see anything on it right now. But it's not even on my list. That's how I don't even look at it. So I'm not able to say. But Engine, I do hold. I have an Engine bag. It's also in the Retire on Crypto portfolio. And that has just... Let me check the 1 month. Engine's been on fire and continues to look really strong. But Mana, I do not follow, I'm afraid. And while we're here, let's check on the Bitcoin price. Oh, the pump has slowed a little bit. You guys got to bring the juju back. It just took a little dip, but shot right up. Buenos Oxygen, living in Brooklyn. Most of my family is in Buenos Aires. I know none of the name. I want to start an educational program in Argentina for crypto. Favorite food? Oh, that's great. That's a great thing to do, especially considering Argentina is going to be plagued by inflation and has been over its history. Favorite food in Buenos Aires? Oh God, I was in so many vegan restaurants. I can't even remember the names, but I love down there the dishes they make with lots of beans, fresh beans and chili. I can't remember what it's called, but it's fantastic and very tasty. Rami Efal, what do you think of portfolio spread? 50% crypto, 30% stocks, 20% cash. I like the 20% cash right now to prepare in the event that something goes wrong. It's a safe way to be. You're heavy on crypto. I typically think it depends on your age, and it is a transformational time, but remember, there's going to be huge volatility. Just be careful on what cryptos you're in. Again, Bitcoin is the safest asset to hold for the next 10 years, bar none, in my opinion. Ethereum will be huge, and a lot of other Ethereum lookalikes also are very, very big. So, Rami, just be careful and keep your seatbelt tightened. Eduardo Marquez, what do you think of linear finance? I don't know offhand. Let me see if I have it here. Yes, we do have some information. Wow. Yeah, linear finance has also gotten through the middle test of the compendium. So thumbs up so far. We haven't done a deep dive into it yet. Again, these things take so much time to dig into, but we have a matrix now that does an initial cut, and it has a big thumbs up so far. So it doesn't mean it's still going to get through the would I buy approval, but it's looking good. So thank you so much, Eduardo. Timothy Smith, are you bullish long-term on Solana? Yes, I am. Incredibly bullish. The only concern I have, though, with any of these types of plays is regulatory risk. Ethereum, I don't think has as much because it ICO'd in 2014, but Solana has more, but it also has a very powerful backers and board, which I believe they could wangle their way out of any problem. Frazzle, with XRP all-time high being at 392, being suppressed due to lawsuit, don't you think it will absolutely moon once the lawsuit is dropped? Strictly from dollars making perspective, has a cult following. Well, Frazzle, it sure has a cult following, and I've had the wrath of the XRP army on me. The thing I hate is when I look at cryptos, I look at tokenomics heavily. I look at the amount that could be dumped on the market, which could suppress price. And I look at the history of the management board and what they've done. And there's a funny meme I saw on the internet, or somebody shared it with me. I think I'm going to do a sneeze. Again, let it go. Okay. But he had some CEO of XRP just emptying bags and bags and bags of XRP on the individual retail people. There's 51 billion tokens in escrow that can be dumped at any time. They have some use cases, a couple of things. I think the SEC is going to go after them hard. They know something that they don't. XRP is playing hardball with the regulators. I don't think it's going to end well. Why take on the risk? There's so much better things to do. And I also don't like cryptos that haven't yet hit their historic all-time highs. So we'll see. But yeah, the market's crazy. Everything can moon. Stuff that I would regard as toxic can moon. That happens all the time. I won't mention any names, but we'll see. I like to avoid risk, and I'm picking ones that go 4x, 5x in a couple of months, and that's good enough for me. I don't need any more than that. MT, can you give a specific example of when you would have to use your private keys? Even moving from cold storage, I don't have to use them. This is more of a more involved question that we are going to be answering MT in great detail in a day or two. So stay tuned, and we'll definitely answer this in great detail, all the ins and outs from cold storage, etc., and when you need your keys and how to do it safely. So you must be a mind reader. So Kasiko Lachman, to surf a bigger profit, is it still ideal to get into Sol now, or would it be interesting to get into projects that haven't pumped yet? So I like to look at things. I don't chase things. Lesson from today, don't chase. Find things that haven't pumped yet. And yeah, Chainlink should be at $40. Polkadot, same type of thing. I believe these things have a much better future. But that being said, even with Polkadot has done really well lately. People give it a hard time. Oh, Bitcoin's still going up. You guys are incredible. Let me see if Ethereum is moving too. No, a little bit, yeah. But it was down, oversold a lot more. So Bitcoin is about to go past break even for the day, which is great. So, sorry, slight indigestion. All right. But you're dead right, Casio. Don't chase things that have gone up 4x or 5x. That is never a winning making proposition. Wait for the rest to catch up and then decide. Moonlight Supernova. Can you take a look at Akash Network, AKT? It's outside of usual, but looks like a possible comer. It does ring a bell, and I had a brief look at it, and let's see if it's in the model. It is. We have a cursory look, and yeah, no scores yet. So I can't say yes or no at this stage, which isn't good, but it is very, very far out there. And Chainlink is just, it had a very good time a couple of months ago. It's just been weak ever since, but not everything rides at the same time. And also Chainlink is kind of like a utility that's required for DeFi, and it tends to follow the bigger protocols first that depend on it. So I'm not concerned. I still own Chainlink and have no intention of selling. Dylan Caliguri, what's a good entry point for AVAX? Interesting. Investing with you has taught me a lot about expediency versus sacrifice. Sacrifice wins. Yeah, exactly. You gotta put your work in, and if you do your homework, it pays huge dividends. If you go in blind, you get sucked in by hype, you will lose long term. So let me see. Avalanche is I think it has also taken a bit of a breather over the last couple of days. Yeah, down from 50, 47. It's hard to say where. Yeah, when I think on Friday I showed the chart and I said if you have vertigo, you shouldn't look at this chart because it was terrifying. To go from $10 to $50 in 30 days is like crazy, especially over the last 10 days. It just went. But I don't know. Again, I don't chase, so I wouldn't be buying Avalanche unless it hit the low 30s, to be honest. So my price target for Avalanche is $52.06. And it nearly got there. So that's kind of my top based on my conservative valuation methodologies. And thank you for your donation as well. Glenn Johnson, no question. Just thank you. You're very kind. Kiwi Robin, you are awesome. And thank you for keeping the Discord community so well organized. And Bonsai Tree, Chicken Wise, and let me see. Chicken Wise, Incog, thanks for all you do for us. Little fish in this big pond. Well, Chicken Wise and Imcog, this is the chance we have to be bigger fish by front-running the Wall Street guys. Linda Schuster, when will companies be revealed for the equities retirement? Thank you. Is Amazon one of them? So, Linda, I have my top 30, all the targets, all the entry points. I'm waiting for things to come to me. I don't buy stocks at all-time highs. Never have, never will. If you want to rush in to buy something, grab what you want. But I don't pay all-time high prices, ever. And I will wait years for them to come into my trap. I will never feel obligated because I know how to make money. And you make money with extreme patience. You know, sniper in the woods, wait. When another company nearly came into the trap on Friday, just missed it. So, but if you're in Patreon, you'll find out when they do hit. And again, I expect more weakness, more concerns, and that's when I'll start getting my fills. But I'm under no obligation to trade because people want my retire on equities portfolio filled. Again, like it or love it, it's you know, you just got to wait and be patient and buy cheap. Buy low, sell high. It sounds so stupid, but it's true. Nikon, can you please give us an update for AVAX price prediction with the new burn fee structure? I'm working on that and it's hard. So, it's hard to say. The burn fee, I did some calculations on Friday, and it's not as exciting as Ethereum. Ethereum is burning 36% of their inflation. AVAX is nowhere near that, but I'm still running through some numbers and running that through my price prediction model. So it takes time, but it'll go up slightly. But they're fixing a drastic hole that we identified when we analyzed the token first. But it's not enough, I think. But it's still a great protocol. So Steve, hi James, I'm a US citizen living in the UK. Don't know about declaring my crypto on my US tax return. I pay taxes. What would you do? Yeah, well, if you're American, don't get on the bad side of the IRS. They do track things globally, and if you're a big fish, they definitely know about you. So I just be very careful. What you do is you get a write-off for the taxes you pay locally, and you pay the delta on top of that in the US. So I just talked to your tax accountant on that. I used to know the ins and outs of US Swiss taxes, but not now. Now with the UK, definitely. So that's a tax accountant question. But always err on the side of overpaying taxes. That's me anyway. Very conservative. Jacob Gentry, when is a realistic time Bitcoin could hit 1 million? 2029, 2030 is very possible. I think there's a 20% chance it'll hit $1 million in 2029, 2030, but that's also a function of how much money printing will continue. So I do anticipate the M2 money supply will 2.5x over the next 10 years, and that will have a huge impact on purchasing power and therefore rise Bitcoin. So we'll see, but we have a couple of challenges by 2028, 2029, 2030, like quantum computing and things like that. So again, always keep your dancing shoes. Never take that to the bank. That's just a prediction based on purchasing power. But it's also very conservative. If you look at the historic gains for Bitcoin over the last 10 years, and you forecast even a tiny fraction of that, we get to $1 million very quickly. So, you know, it's a double to get to 100K. And that could happen this year. And then to go from 100K to $1 million is real easy over the next 9 years. So ADA, thank you. So I've more than doubled my initial investments and thinking I should take profit as I don't want to bail out and lose potential. Yeah, always take a little bit. So especially if you're up 200, you can just take all your money off the table and let the rest ride. So, but I would hold on to winners and get rid of what you deem to be high risk plays, or even take profits on the risky ones and move it into safer plays and buy cheap. So, but yeah, let the winners run, sell the losers, take your initial profit off the table as early as you can and repurpose it into a faster horse. Jacob Willett, is it fine to buy and hodl for 10 years or no? Oh, I always say, always wear your dancing shoes. You never know what's going to happen. 10-year time frame. I mean, the world could end. We could be hit by an asteroid. The internet could die. Quantum computing could hack everything. We could be going back to what Palantir thinks, trading pelts for bread or something. So, Jacob, just take these long-term guides with a big pinch of salt, because there's so many unknowns. Keep your dancing shoes on. There'll always be an opportunity to make money. Right now it's crypto and some disruptive stocks. So just bear that in mind. Yug7228. I have all altcoins and at the moment no Bitcoin. If I sell my altcoins, I would have enough to buy one whole coin. We just swap for one Bitcoin. I definitely try to get half of Bitcoin. I definitely ditch half. It depends what altcoins you're in. If they're crappy ones, yeah, trade them all in for Bitcoin. If they're things like Ethereum and Solana and Avalanche, hold. So that's the way I'd see it. And thank you for your donation as well. Christy, thanks for your donation as well. Snow F411, I think I read that right. I can't see my I's and my L's and my numbers anymore. And a big thank you, everybody. I don't know if we are done. That's it. And thank you as well for moderating. I'm on again at 5:30. Oh my God, that's only 2.5 hours. 2 hours even. And thank you all. And I'll see you soon with Rob and George from Digital Asset News and Cryptos R Us.